Hi guys, I hope everyone is having a good day. So there are a lot of cultures in our world today, but the one that stood out the most to me was the culture of Mexico. I've always thought Mexico was interesting and their culture was unique. A girl I have known for a very long time is part of the Mexican culture. Her name is Santana Alvarez, and she was willing to tell me about her culture and her adventures in Mexico. She is a 17-year-old and she lives in the US. She has lived in the US all of her life, but her dad has only lived here since he was about her age. She has visited Mexico many times and actually usually goes there and spends 2 months at a time. She has grown up with the culture still in her life. She was kind enough to sit down and talk with me about what makes the Mexican culture. We first started talking about the food in her culture. I have actually eaten many things at her house that her parents would fix us. The regular dishes that her parents fix for her at her home that are from the Mexican culture are frijoles, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, which is beans, quesadillas, huevos rancheros, which is ranch-style eggs, and enchiladas. Since she's only in high school, she only knew how to properly fix quesadillas. She actually had the recipe from her grandmother to make homemade tortillas, and she put cheese and salsa inside of them, which I thought was unusual because usually people put chicken inside of them. But she told me that she does sometimes, but she prefers it just with cheese and salsa. It was delicious, and I actually might have to try it to make it on my own sometime. We talked about the Mexican restaurants and I asked her if they really showed the Mexican culture. And she said it depends. She said that back in Mexico, in eating her grandma's food, some of the restaurants will take her back to that. But sometimes she questions if the workers or the owners have ever even been to Mexico. She did say that she's only found a couple of those restaurants, so most likely if you ever ate a Mexican restaurant, then you ate authentic Mexican food. While talking to her, I remembered coming to her house and eating this type of Mexican candy, and I asked her about it and stuff, and she said the candy is called Duvalin, and this candy was the best candy ever. Like, seriously, it was amazing. The candy has two flavors. One side is white, and that's vanilla, and then the other side is chocolate, well, brown, and that's chocolate. She informed me that you can get this candy at Mexican stores that you can find in your bigger cities. She also said that they celebrate Des Ycias, a Day of the Dead, Christmas, and Easter. These are about the only days that she celebrates that they celebrate in Mexico. Des Ycias is Mexico's Independence Day, and they celebrate that on September 16th, so it's the day in Mexico, it's like July 4th here. Day of the Dead is on November 1st and November 2nd. The first day is referred to All Saints Day, and the second is called All Souls Day. The first day is when children who have died, they're celebrated and honored. And then the second day is to remember the older people who have passed away. It is basically 2 days set aside to celebrate people who have died and that you missed, just to honor them and celebrate them, which I think is interesting, and I think we should really do that here. Then for their Christmas, that is celebrated for a whole month, and they have a posada for the children, and there are 9 of those. A posada is a remake of Mary and Joseph going to Bethlehem for the birth of Jesus. At each one, there is a scene. In the very last one, there is Jesus in the manger. Mexico does celebrate Easter, and their Easter consists of a Semana Santa, and it starts on Easter Sunday and lasts for a week. Santana said that this is probably the most important holiday to most people in Mexico. She said the typical religion in Mexico is Catholic, and they take their religion very serious. Santana had a quinceañera, and what this is a party to celebrate a young girl's going from childhood to maturity. The girl usually dresses up in a big dress and has a tiara, and the whole night is to celebrate her. Santana invited family and friends to hers, and she had to dance with her dad and her mom. She said it felt like a wedding day, except she was marrying herself. A quinceañera happens when a girl turns 15 years old. Santana said that the guys typically don't have one, don't have a quinceañera because guys aren't supposed to mature until the age of 18 years old or later. These celebrations are mostly the main celebrations in Mexico, and they are the only ones that Santana practices in America with her family. There are many traditions in Mexico. we wanted to start off talking about clothing. In Mexico, the girls wear very colorful dresses and long, big skirts. Santana showed me some of the pictures of the things she wore as a little girl in Mexico, and one of them she had a dress on with a long, big skirt, and the dress had the Mexican flag colors. She called it the typical Mexican baby picture. There are also sombreros, which most people already know about. Usually if you go to a Mexican restaurant, it's your birthday, they pop one on you and sing to you. Also, ponchos are typically the traditional clothing piece, and Santana actually had multiple in her house. Again, they are very colorful and have the Mexican flag colors on them. Mexico is known for their colorful clothing. Santana said that if you go to Mexico and buy traditional clothing, it's rarely not colorful. The language in Mexico is Spanish, and I have known it to be the easiest language to learn, she said. English is usually the hardest. Santana is fluent in both languages. As a little girl, her family would speak Spanish to one another, so she would become fluent in the language. Then, while growing up in America, she became fluent in English. When I was younger, Santana's mom would keep me, babysit me, and I learned how to count to 10 in Spanish when I was 4, and I learned a few animal names, and I still remember those to this day. Santana would also try to teach me even though we were the same age. Santana's grandparents in Mexico can only speak Spanish. So when she goes to visit them, she can speak Spanish and no English. This concludes the information that I got from Santana about Mexico, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I was honored to interview her and just get to share all this information with you guys. Thanks for watching.